We're chasing comedy, working on jokes, working on bits, seeing what sticks, seeing what stinks. We're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.
Where you at, Brian? You at American Sweets?
I'm in American Samoa. I'm in American.
It's a nice
I'm
kitchen.
getting my law degree.
Nice countertops. I like it.
I'm getting my law degree.
I like the suites. When you get a hotel with the kitchen, it's really a big deal. It's really, you can make eggs. Like it changes things. It really does. Then that
you
just being like
you set up a pasta station.
Yeah, I'm into it. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do when I get if I have the choice, I'm gonna go sweets with the kitchenette.
Yeah, nice.
You can avoid because it's always a gamble with that free breakfast. You don't know if the waffle machine's working. You don't know how if the eggs are actually eggs. Like you don't know the bacon. It's a whole thing.
But that's the other thing. The free breakfast isn't even a thing in like isn't that not even available in the northeast? Like I don't, you know what I mean? You go south and you go Texas every day. Free breakfast everywhere you go. But you don't get free breakfast in New York. You get free nothing in New York.
You do if it's a Hampton Inn. You do like there's certain chains that will, I think they different states or whatever. But I feel like, it's definitely, you got to go by chains. I know all the chains that have Holiday Inn Express. They have the free breakfast. Marriott, it depends. They usually make you pay for it. But
this is a man who's worked on the road a lot.
Oh yeah.
When you start spouting off.
I keep a card. I keep all my cards just so if I want to if I ever get homeless, I could just go in and just hey, I'm staying here and just get a free breakfast and leave.
That's right. That's hilarious.
That's what I don't understand is people that are struggling out there. Just have a stack of hotel cards. Nobody just go like this when you walk in. Nobody says anything. You just don't dress like a schlub and you can get a free breakfast anywhere in the country.
That's a way to live. You know what I mean? Being, what do you call a person? I think in Look Who's Talking with John Travolta, I think Kirstie Alley didn't want to settle down with him because he was one of those guys that worked so many. And you don't want to call them scams, but he would get a free shower here. He would go to a free gym here. He would get free food here. And that's his whole life. He would he was working around finding angles and free places to do things that he didn't have to pay for. And it was just this kind of sketchy thing, but kind of genius in a weird way.
Well, I'm surprised that you actually remember the plot line to that movie because all I could think of was that a baby had adult thoughts. That's the only thing that resonated with me.
That's hilarious because the plot line of that movie barely registered with me, but that plot point I thought was fascinating.
Well, I used to have a joke. I said, Scientology, I can't believe that they use the star angle of, the cast of Look Who's Talking to convince people that that's that's their star market.
To hook you? Yeah, to hook you.
Travolta and Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, they were big. Yeah, I was like...
yeah, that's great.
I could never... That joke, I always liked that joke. I could never get I felt like it's a very niche joke, I had some of these jokes like that would never...
What was the what was the exact joke?
That was it, really. Just Scientology uses star power to get you to join this thing. And I'm sorry, it takes more than the cast of Look Who's Talking 2 to convince me that that's the way to go. And that was basically it. I would just drop it and go, and and never because you never want to go too far into something like Scientology, far as material.
No, but who had more star power than Jesus? That's my point. It's everyone did that.
Yeah. I guess.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the modern market. We forget. Jesus is pretty much the biggest star you got to get. I don't know why you got to
you talk about celebrity.
Tom Cruise is pretty close, to be honest with you, globally.
True.
Yeah.
True. If you take the miracles out, and some of the miracles, I think some of those stunts, I don't think Jesus even could have pulled off. So
to be fair, he was the first guy to do his own stunts. That's funny.
Yeah, Jesus did his own stunts. That's true. That's true. Jesus funny. was the first guy who did his own stunts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people would have said, bring in the guy for the crucifixion scene, but Jesus said, no, I think I can handle this. Right? Right. I want authenticity as an actor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's a method. He's a method. He's a method
yeah.
savior. A method savior.
I mean, you know, Jesus jokes. That's going to work in this country right now. So,
oh
yeah,
boy. I
Gotta go another way.
I can see the anxiety. We need to. You know, what we need on the show. We need a. You know how we have the wheel. We actually have an anxiety level chart when we wade into waters that you know what I mean.
Oh,
where
that's so funny. That would be funny. Like you did. Well, we can't do water either. I mean, there's stuff going on with water, so it's like, yeah, you got to be careful with that. Everything is sensitive.
Dustin's blood pressure. Dustin's blood pressure chart.
I just get redder. I just get redder.
like where something goes. We're waiting. Get Brian back on point here. Okay, get him out of there. Right.
I love it.
We need to not. Yeah.
Well, let me do this one. The bit that I love, that I feel like never works as good as it should. You have those bits. That should be a segment.
Sure.
We have bits that don't work
and should,
because I feel like we are the comedy connoisseurs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're the ones that know when it's good, and then we know when it's like, you know, this is my bread and butter. This is going to get me paid. I'm going to get a good response.
Yes.
They're going to book me back.
Right.
There's that material. Then like this one, I think is great. It's like Salvation Army is a religion. And, you know, and I think this is kind of a funny, their motto is, give me all your free stuff and we'll sell it for free. No. Give me all your free stuff and we'll, how did I phrase it? Give me all your free stuff and we'll make money off the poor. It was something like that. How did I phrase it? It's been a long time. You ever do jokes you hadn't done in a long time?
Sure. And if you,
it's like, give me all your free stuff. Oh, this is it. Yeah. Give me all your free stuff and I'll sell it to the poor. Like that's their motto, Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Give me all your free stuff and I'll sell it to the poor.
Right.
I think the idea of that is so funny, where it's just like, yeah, don't just like give it to the poor. Make sure somebody makes money off of it first, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Make sure there's a middle broker involved instead of just giving free will and gifts to people that need it.
Right,
so I just thought that was an interesting, smart concept that nobody had thought of.
So so that was the bit. Was the bit like about religion? I know it's like something at a motorcycle.
Well, I usually do like a chunk, you know. So I'll do I would usually do like the Scientology thing, which if I could get more traction out of that one, I would love it. But
Salvation Army,
star power. I don't know if going down Jesus doing his own stunts is going to work on a cruise this week, but
right. Yeah.
But I do think it's funny. I'll do that in a club for sure.
Sure. Sure. But Jesus was the first celebrity who did his own stunts. Anyway, backing out of this and getting back to the Salvation Army.
Yes. Yeah, it's a religion and an army. Well, that could be funny. It's a religion and an army.
Yeah.
The worst dressed army I've ever seen. That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. You're wearing a bowling shirt with like
funny.
Cargo pants.
Yes. Bell bottoms. You got bell bottoms. You know. You show up. You show up to the DMZ in a bathrobe. You know, like if you're in the Ardennes,
you're the front line.
If you're in the Ardennes, you don't want to show up like in a kimono. You know what I mean?
You're in the front line with a Cookie Monster nightshirt.
Yeah, that's really funny. Like if you get really specific with that, like a Pep Boys T-shirt, you know, it's like you're in the. You don't want to fight the battle of the bulge when that's too but you don't want to because that gives that's another layer joke. But you don't want to. If you're in Okinawa, you don't want to land at what's the word, Normandy. Now the guys at Normandy ever came, wearing a SpongeBob T-shirt. So stupid.
Yeah, I don't want to do specific wars. I'm going to be on a boat with people that are probably there.
Sure.
I want to do more of a like front line.
Well, no, but you could do that. You could go, guys. I'm sure there were guys who have stormed the beaches at Normandy, and those guys look rough. You don't want that would totally take away your credibility. You don't want to meet the Germans. You don't want to hit the German front line. With the then you got to be really specific about what's on the shirt. It's like with a Pac-Man shirt or I mean, obviously, who?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. 18-0 Patriots season.
Yeah, that would be with a Michael Jordan jersey. You know, like not a Michael Jordan, but somebody.
No. But like the stuff that you send to Africa.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But that would be really funny if it wasn't Michael Jordan, but it was like Tracy McGrady or something. Like somebody really almost famous, like a basketball player or a football player.
I don't know who Tracy McGrady is, but that's a great name.
He was a really good. I mean, okay, then pick Carmelo Anthony. I mean, Hakeem Olajuwon. Pick somebody that you would know that's very.
Well, those are. Olajuwon's a champion.
Sure.
I think funnier if they're not like a bench warmer.
Right, but Tracy McGrady was a great like Carmelo Anthony. Or
even like an Alf shirt, or funny, like just ridiculous. Alf,
Golden
ridiculous.
Girls,
You can kind of go off on that. That's really funny. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me find that, because I think that's silly. Because it's almost funnier to go the army route than the religion route.
I think,
because I could say it's also a religion. Give me all your free stuff, we'll sell it to the poor. And that may or may not work. But I think I maybe do that first, then do the army, because the army stuff is stronger. Your key line is worst dressed army ever. That opens the door. Okay. That opens the door to anything, any fashion joke you want. You're showing up in Crocs. You know, you're showing up in Crocs. Two different color Crocs.
You don't want to storm. No, you want to storm the beaches at Normandy in different color in non-matching Crocs, right? Or if you want to storm the beaches at Normandy, you want to have matching Crocs. You know what I mean? Like that's. Or furry slippers or bunny slippers. I mean, you can just go off. You got to find the right ones, but it's like that's funny. Crocs is always funny. You know,
I don't know if there's an hacky old Navy joke that needs to like arrive on this.
Well, then you got an Old Navy with the Army, right? You don't want to show up in the, if you're an Army, you don't want to show up in an Old Navy shirt. There's got to be a joke there, but
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's too far.
But you got the Salvation Army and the Old Navy. Like the two organizations with really bad fashion sense. Two military operations with that don't make a really strong fashion statement, and then you got what would be funny if Old Navy met the Salvation Army and they fought? Who would win? Now if you've just found something with Marines, that would be really funny, but whatever. We're maybe going.
We might be going too far.
Yeah.
Banana Republic, isn't that some sort of revolution or something?
Yeah. Then you go fight the banana. Yeah. Then you got to fight in some foreign regime in the Banana Republic. So you got the Old Navy and they're fighting the Banana Republic, and they're guerrilla warfare guys in the Banana Republic. And then if you had one more. I don't even know what that would be, but if you had one more, that would just take this thing to a whole new level. Like you show up in a Che Guevara T-shirt that you bought at Banana Republic, that you bought off the rack at the Salvation Army, and then you hit the beaches and there's some guy wearing an Old Navy shirt. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, something like that. Like somehow tie them all. Yeah. Like if there's another one, Banana Republic, Old Navy, Salvation Army.
Coast
I'm sure there's another one somewhere.
Coast Guard, military. Isn't there some weird and guys in camo? There's something funny there, because I bought a camo shirt at Old Navy, right? Like a camo shirt at the Salvation Army that I stormed up, whatever. Anyway, and you're in a camo shirt.
Yeah, we might be going too far out, but it's definitely the worst dressed, and then the Crocs and whatever. It might be one of those things where I see kind of how it feels, and then if I need to go another direction, I could. But
no, but that anchor point, that anchor point of the fashion is really funny. You got like a lot of threads.
Yeah. Just have to be careful with making fun of armies and stuff with old people.
No, don't do that. No.
No. I'm a veteran.
No, but that's an easy. You could go the totally other way, and you'd be hero just by praising them.
Yeah.
When you guys stormed the beach at Normandy, you guys were men.
Like
you were dressed
real soldiers. Yeah.
You're in camo, and you're this, and you got grenades, and You ever seen the fashion at the Salvation Army?
Well, that's another angle I want to go to is if there were a draft, how just the idea of like an 18-year-old in the 30s and 40s and 50s, they were like men, they're smoking like Chesterfield.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. But look at that guy. That guy looks like a man.
Sa-
that guy's probably 17.
Saving,
and so that's, but yeah.
Saving Private Brady. Saving Private Brady.
There you go.
There you go.
But yeah, just the idea of like if there were a draft, and I know it's kind of a familiar topic, but it is funny to me the idea of like those men, those 18-year-olds were men.
Yeah,
they had crow's feet. They were smoking Chesterfields without filters. They were like working in a coal mine before they got there. Like they're real men. Today's kids, like an 18-year-old defending my country. Are you kidding me? They were doing selfies with the enemy. They're like, can you charge this? Can you charge this gun? You know what I mean? Like just the idea of like all that is like young people's trying to save us. No thanks. I'd rather have a bunch of old guys in pickup trucks like Red Dawn than these freaking
really
kids.
No, that's
like that
really
kind of
funny.
thing.
No, the whole thing about like a clip of bullets is like equals like the power level in your iPhone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at half. I'm at half. How do I charge my what do they call that? The magazine, the clip, and. No, but that's really funny. Those 18-year-olds were 40 in 1935.
They were. They had like 3 kids before they even joined.
They were 40. They were smoking cigarettes. You're right. They had crow's feet. They worked in a coal mine. This guy's like he's. Then you got to paint the picture of the guy. This guy's wearing a blank shirt. He's working at Chick-fil-A, like he's night manager at Chick-fil-A. Yeah, something even softer than that. You want something that you worked in a video arcade or a video or something like that. That's really,
or just an influencer. I don't need my general. I don't need my what's like private general. What's the second one? I don't need my sergeant major
Colonel,
to be an influencer.
Corporal.
Yeah, I don't need my sergeant major to be an influencer. Like
Instagram
like,
influencer. I think is
Instagram. I don't need. Instagram models is my front line. Like just
You know who was an influencer?
Like,
you know who was a real influencer? Patton. Okay. Douglas MacArthur. Okay. I don't know, something like that. That there's something really funny about the idea, like juxtaposing those things is a really good thing for you. I think that's really good because you have that, you really can relate to that world and compare the two things. And it's something that you can wade
just
into.
Young people like going, and first of all, they're not gonna, there's gonna be a whole thing about that. Talk about draft dodgers. I mean, it's like, draft dodgers. Are you kidding me? It's gonna be like, Canada's gonna tip over.
Right.
Like, it's like, there's gonna be so many like. Go ahead.
Wait, no, but I'm thinking that's a funny. The word draft dodger. These kids wouldn't just dodge the draft. They'd blank the draft. Like they wouldn't even. Like Dodge is kind of like, get out of it. But these kids would flee dodge flee, draft fleers or draft. They'd turn, it's like Klinger. Like I think about Klinger all the time. Like Klinger was like, I don't even know. They don't
ahead
even
ahead of its time too. As far as a television character, a
cross-dressing guy, no controversy at all in that the guy, and he's still not.
No, nobody got angry,
and he's still not. Yeah, exactly. Why isn't that show canceled for making fun of nobody ever blinked that, and he's still doing it. You know what I mean? You're in the Army. I never understood that part of it. Right? Am I crazy? Like, wasn't he still wearing a dress and? They
just put up with it. They were like, all right, you can do whatever you want. You're not going to get out.
My point is you're supposed to do that to get out of the draft. But once you're in and it didn't work, then he's still carrying a handbag and like he's one of the Golden Girls. Like what's the point? Is that point? Don't you just give it up? Unless he's really into it. Then obviously Klinger's problem wasn't that he was afraid of getting shot.
Well, he wasn't into it. He wasn't into it at all. It was just that was whatever it took to get out.
I know, but he didn't get out.
Just like, I know, but he still thought there was a chance.
The show was on for 10 seasons. It lasted longer than...
He never gave up. He never gave up.
The show lasted long... No, but the show lasted longer than the war. Okay?
I know. He never gave up. Look at those arms. He could at least wax his arms.
Yeah.
But he never gave up.
Right.
He always thought there would be a breaking point where it would be like, all right, man, we got to get this freak out of here. But they were like, nah, dude. We how to work a gun. We're going to keep you.
I mean, did Klinger... Did Klinger at a certain point give it up? That it realized that this doesn't seem to be working. We're in season 9. And I'm still in the.
I don't know. Did you?
I'm still in the DM.
What was the finale? Maybe in the finale that it happened where he took his makeup off. I don't know.
Yeah, no one ever talks
that's
about
the finale.
No one talks about Klinger. No one talks about the story arc of Klinger. No one cares.
These kids don't know.
Yeah.
He was the revolutionary. Like he was the beginning of.
Right. And
talk about
Adam,
the fight.
Adam,
Klinger was fighting.
That's right. Adam, did any of those clothes that you just put on the screen were they bought at the Salvation Army? Because then we can bring this thing full circle. Okay.
Full circle.
Put a tag on it. Put a Salvation Army tag.
Klinger was in the spinoff Aftermath.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
There was, that didn't work too well. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there were a lot of shows, it's like, it was fun. They used to be able to make fun of like the army and stuff. Nobody does that anymore. I tried to write a pilot about making fun of like, soldiers in Iraq and stuff. Nobody wanted to bite. They were too they felt like, and I've seen people try to do it, but there used to be Gomer Pyle was a big one.
Yeah,
that was
You talk about a subject that is radioactive in terms of like you can't.
Yeah, but we were very patriotic back then when Gomer Pyle was on and all that. I mean, that was the epitome of like America, and they were still able to make fun of a bumbling, private or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. Now they would just go another direction with it.
Yeah,
It's like mocking.
I want to think of like the movie that shows that portrayed because Gomer Pyle didn't really. I mean, he was goofy, but the show didn't really, poke fun at the military per se. He was a goofy guy. Like,
a little bit though. I mean, some of the just ridiculousn's of it. I think a little bit of his stir crazy being, it didn't always have the most positive light, in the sense of like, it wasn't always a patriotic moment. It would just be like, hey, you're sitting here and you just got to mop all the time, or it didn't always glorified, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then the relationship was the funny part. It was like they were like the whatever, the colonel, not the colonel, but the major or whatever, sergeant major or whatever. Like they were like a team. They were like he was angry, he was goofy, back and forth.
Yeah.
And I tell you this, Jim Nabors had a golden voice. I don't think people realize that. That man could sing.
Yes.
That man, I have albums. That man could sing, and like as goofy as he was on that show, he's got great pipes. I don't know if you know much about his singing career, but
he was
like
a very successful singer.
Angel.
Yeah,
angel voice that guy's got.
Well, we've got this is a very interesting episode where we delve into Jim Nabors. I think Adam is Googling right now. He's going to have a couple of clips of Jim Nabors singing right now on because he had a huge career in that.
A couple of guys people don't know about their singing careers. Let's get into that. Let's see. What's
David Hasselhoff
from Honeymooners? Jackie Gleason. No, everybody knows about David Hasselhoff. In Germany, he was huge.
Yeah.
But Jackie Gleason had a big singing career.
I did not know that. Louis Farrakhan. No one remembers that.
The first hip hop.
No, Louis Farrakhan was a calypso singer and he went by the name of.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, the Charmer. He was called the Charmer, and he had a very successful calypso singing career. Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a just a
weird one.
Left that behind, huh? Yeah.
No, my friend had a website. My friend had a comedy website, and he posted all of his songs on there, like where he just said, "Yeah, nobody remembers."
Kill Whitey, kill Whitey.
Yeah. And I think Adam's going to work. Adam's back
Calypso.
to work. We got
Calypso.
The Charmer. Look up the Charmer. Louis Farrakhan. Calypso. It's awesome.
Wow.
I always wanted to be a singer. I really
talk about reinventing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's once you put on the bow tie, forget Calypso. Those days were over.
Yeah, that's all over now. Yeah.
You wanted to be a singer? Is that what you said?
I did. I just didn't have any singing talent. No, that was my big impediment. No, I did. I took singing lessons. That was the thing. I took singing lessons, right? And I had this kind of baritone voice, and I would sing in I did Oklahoma and stuff in school, and people would say, "Wow, you have a really good voice. Wow, you have a really good voice. Wow, you're really good." And I do. I can handle certain things. Then I went to this singing coach, and he was like, "You are amazing. You have this incredible instrument. We're going to work with this." And then I went to his master class. Like after I I worked with him for like weeks, and I kept saying, I don't think I'm getting better. And then I went, then I went to his master class where everyone performed, and everyone sucked, right? Like everyone was horrible, and then I thought, well, if they're horrible, I must be horrible. No, I'm still not sure, because he told everyone, and I went to him and I said, look, I went to your master class. I literally said this. I said, look, I hate to say this, but I went to your master class, and I got to be honest with you, pretty much there were very few good singers in there, right? Now that's, I guess, and he said to me, I know, but you're not one of them. And I just, and I go, okay, but I never really, I don't know. I'm sort of a dream.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. I think far as like, comedy coaching, there's a lot of times where I'll tell people, be like, you're doing it wrong, or that's you're hacky, or whatever, or maybe this. I will never say this is not for you, because I feel like every art deserves to be explored, and if people want to kind of see if they can find it, that's their personal journey, and it's a good thing. But as I think we have a responsibility as any sort of artistic coach to not give people false, pretense or whatever, because it's like, you could really hurt the art if you like send people out that aren't funny.
Well, okay, but on that point, haven't you had situations where you're coaching either somebody, now, forget about coaching somebody, seeing somebody at an open mic night who you said, okay, this person is really awful, or seeing them over time when they started and they're really awful. And then all of a sudden you go years later, oh, they got good. Has that ever? There was one guy that I saw that I thought was terrible. He kind of wrote hacky jokes. Well, that guy is now a big writer in Hollywood for sitcoms. Okay. And I remember going here, and he used to do sort of well at the open mic night, but it was just all formulaic, derivative. And he is like a producer of sitcoms in Hollywood. And he wow. Yeah. And I was like amazed. I was like, wow, I never would have guessed that. Even though he did know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I pulled comic. I had a comic when I ran the Greenwich Village, and I said, "Look, I just can't put you on anymore. You just do not know how to get laughs with the crowds, like on a Saturday night." And it was Tim Dillon, and I was like, "You just don't. You're just not. You don't know how to do it. What are you doing? Like, you just don't know. You can't just lose the crowd a minute in. Like, you gotta care a little bit."
That
guy's gigantic.
I think Noam said the same thing at the Cellar. He said he didn't like Tom. He didn't think Tim Dillon was funny.
I still don't think he's a good stand-up, but he's great at what he does.
Yeah, it's really amazing watching him in his podcast, when he's doing those rants. Oh, so funny. Like so funny stuff.
Yeah, but it's like, is that comedy? I mean, who can't just rant? I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss him, but I feel like, that's the difference between, a podcast format where someone can just unleash, and then you have a responsibility to entertaining a crowd.
True.
And so, but if you don't care about that crowd, then obviously that's,
well, it's a different, a different art form. And Tim, when the analogies he comes up with, there's word choices that are really, I watch them and I go, oh, that is so funny. Some of those things and the commitment to the comic perspective are so great on the show. And when I see a stand-up, I go, it's good. It's like really good. But he hits the sweet spot when he's going off on some topic where he can just freeform. And I guess
but it's a difference between somebody like Burr, who came up through the system, and so, as opposed to somebody who got blown up on this new platform.
Right.
Whereas Burr had to pass this club, and he had to MC, and he had to feature, and he had to pass SD, and he had to pass this club, and he had to have a showcase set. He had to, a Letterman set. He had to. It's different when there's a comedy that comes through the system, and I really feel that is what makes a great comic. And as flawed as it is, this system of comedy, when you see a guy that goes through that, I just think they're automatically better stand-up comedians as opposed to
you have an
this voice or whatever.
Somebody like you and me has an instinctive knowledge that the laugh quotient and the need to get to a joke quickly and not get derailed by an idea or worse, get sidetracked by cleverness, which is kills a lot of stuff, where you think that's funny sounding, but it's not really funny in a stand-up thing. I think I've seen some of Tim's stuff is really, really, really funny in stand-up, but I really love his podcast stuff. But whatever.
Yeah, well, that's his lane, and that's great. And but it's like, like I saw Marin the other night at the store, and it's like, and he's obviously good at the podcast and stand-up, but watching his stand-up where it was like, he was going in on stuff that was like, I mean, half the crowd's walking out. There's people getting upset, but he still finds a way to kind of craft this thing that only a good stand-up and somebody that's gone through the system of doing it for years can get away with. And the way he was able to say things without just being ranty, but also crafting it in a stand-up way. I don't know. It's just more enjoyable to me when somebody, can craft it as opposed to just blurting it out,
I mean, there's a specificity. If you see somebody like a great stand-up, somebody who's been through the system, somebody who recognizes the necessity for quick hitting, hard hitting jokes, it's like a muscle that they've honed, and they know how to do that really well. Burr knows how to do that really well.
And just watching guys like him, we actually talked about it. Watching guys like him and like Todd Barry, and like they were talking about it, where they had to go into another gear to get like a regular stand-up comedy club audience. Yeah. Because it was always this alternative crowd that was waiting for them. Yeah. But then there was like, same with Bargatze. It was like, and Bargatze never really went to another gear. He's the one guy out of all these guys. He never switched gears. Right. Like he just stayed. I watched him just burn in flames and be like, well, he still got something. Yeah. When he was young or whatever. Yeah. But all these other guys, even Garofalo, like I've seen, these kind of comics where, they work the crowd or they switch it up or whatever. But it's just interesting that, there's guys that came through the clubs.
Have you watched much of Josh Johnson's stuff?
You were talking about him a lot one episode where you were saying how good he was. And I see that. But he doesn't seem like he switches gears, though. He really kind of just goes into his world.
No, but he goes into his world. But it's amazing. He cranks out another special every couple of weeks. It's like, I mean, Louis took it to another level. And this kid is doing like, I'm going to do a whole special just on, tariffs. And you're like,
we were talking about that. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's like, I think, well, there's savants or whatever. I mean, Richard Pryor I'm not comparing this guy to Richard Pryor, but he might be like that, where he's just able to just grab a mic and go. Like, there's certain guys that can do that. Yeah. Whereas Tim Dillon is a guy that can do that. That's why, he's a guy that can get away with that because of this lane he's built for himself. There's certain guys that can just grab the mic and here we go. Yeah. Nobody cares what they talk about. They're just in love with what they're doing. Yeah. And so, his audience, I think, is building on that too. And, a guy like that has, such a following. Right. That they know what they're getting and they're buying into it. Yeah. And that's the thing, was when people don't know who you are, comedy is very difficult. Yeah. And when people know who you are, it gets a whole lot easier. Sure. And because I've seen some of these specials, I'm like, oh, even like Burr or somebody, I'm like, you kind of walk through that one. Right. And then there's some guys where it's like, when you don't know who they are, they're just because you got to fight for it. Yeah, I think it's hard. That's the beauty of getting to that level, Yeah,
I mean, it's really hard to be somebody like, I'm amazed by when I watch like Brian Regan or somebody where, oh my God, another brilliant bit. Like after 7 specials, that piece is epic. Like another astonishing, well-crafted, well-honed piece of stand-up where I go, that's just amazing. Staying in his persona and yet a new, fresh perspective on something, which sometimes is hard to maintain that because people from the old era, if you remember, like guys like Robert Klein, they were done like at an early, you know what I mean? Like they ran out of.
Yeah, but I still think it's easier when you hit a plateau of fame. Mm-hmm. It's harder when you're like an unknown comic trying to come up with a new bit. Yeah. That's a lot harder than somebody they're buying for $80 tickets to see you. You can kind of play a little, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like it's the guys that are like, you got the 10-20 at the comic strip. It's like, all right, you got a brand new bit. Is it going to go over with this crowd that doesn't know you? Yeah. As opposed to you walk in, you're Kevin Hart. You're like, hey, man, this happened. They're going to go crazy. Yeah, yeah. So it's harder. It becomes easier in the sense of, I mean, you still got to do the work. You still got to write. You got to be you can't just like set on it, And some guys do. Yeah, but I think a lot of these,
some of my biggest like challenges are how to we've talked about this a million times. Not going to go into it again, but how to get into a piece, how to just justify this piece that I'm getting into. I can't quite, because the audience is looking at me going, why are you doing a waiter who's saying all this wacky stuff? And I have this thing with that where I'm like, I have set pieces which are really good, but I don't know how to ease into them in a way that makes the audience go, oh yeah, we're with you on that. Like we're like I don't know.
Yeah, well, I also think we give them too much credit as being savvy and knowing and what we're doing and being like a lot of times they're just they've had 3 Long Island iced teas. Maybe this is their first comedy show. Mm-hmm. Half of them don't speak English that well. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's they're only out because Larry's getting married. Mm-hmm. It's like half of the crowds that we perform at these comedy club things or cruise ships or whatever it is we're doing. It's like they're not like it's not like the people that go and see opera. Right. It's like those people that go see the Philharmonic. Like they have a pretty good idea of how orchestras work, but a lot of people that do comedy, they don't know what they're doing. Right. They're just like they didn't have anything to do at 9 p.m. on a Thursday.
Okay.
So there was a guy in Times Square that's like, hey, I got tickets. I got comedy tickets. Right. They were gonna go do karaoke, or they were gonna go and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do comedy, that seems fun. And so they come in, they sit down, and like they order 2 drinks and their chicken fingers, and then like we have to get up and hope that the material that we're presenting is going to connect and going to hit that nerve that makes them laugh. We're just hoping.
And does comedy have the capacity to change hearts and minds, Dustin?
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes there might be a bit that resonates, and then that person becomes more of a savvy comedy fan, and they may have stumbled into comedy, and then after the show, if we're good enough, maybe we're the ones who make them more into stand-up, and maybe we make them follow us and other comedians.
And I only say that because there was a say that Mel Brooks used to say that if you mock something or you're using mockery, then you take power over it. And I used to think that, but then I see like it doesn't seem like the power brokers are affected by the endless and brutal mockery that they are being subjected to. It doesn't seem to be denting some of their popularity, regardless of what the political ideology you're talking about is. I don't see comedy having the. You know what I mean? Like I used to think that, oh yeah, you can take them down with humor and we make them look ridiculous. That's what Mel Brooks said about Hitler and producers and all that stuff. And I have mixed mind about that, because I go, is it working? Is it still holding that you subject someone to merciless mockery and it undercuts their credibility? And I'm like, I don't know anymore.
The culture has shifted, and the allegiance to political people have shifted. And it used to be like there was nobody doing a pro Reagan bit in '87. You know what I mean? Like it was or '85 or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I mean everything has shifted in how now there's people that go, they're defending it as opposed to mocking it, and so it's like it's definitely changed. And how there's certain types of comedians that, I remember when we lost, Dennis Miller went to the other side, and it was like such a thing. And, he was the hippest, coolest comedian of all time. Yeah. And then he went to this other thing, and you're like, what? I was thinking the other day, I think Monday Night Football ruined him. And then he just after that, he was never the same.
Interesting.
And then he just started going down this other road. And the next thing you know, he's just like, But I don't know. I think, it's like music. Sometimes music moves you in the sense of an eternal thing, and sometimes it's just like you're just like, hey, this is great, and it's something in your car and you're just enjoying it. It's like it may not be that heavy is what I'm saying.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, if we're supposed to speak truth to power, right? Like, I know we're going to get to a deep discussion.
We don't have to.
Meaning that we're supposed
Stephen
to.
Wright didn't do that. He's the greatest comedian, joke teller of all time.
No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Stephen. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the ideology that you just mentioned, which was there were no pro-Reagan comics back then. Okay.
Yeah.
There was that says something. That's like no, and we're operating under the idea that you weren't supposed to be a pro-Reagan comic. Were there pro-Obama comics? Okay, were there pro Bill Clinton comics? And we always think, yeah, there were, because that ideology.
You always made fun of him, though. You still made fun of him, though,
Sure.
especially Clinton. I mean,
yeah, no,
nobody was
absolutely.
not making fun of Clinton.
No,
you
I
can
know.
still be behind a person and make fun of them, and that's the problem with what's happening now.
No,
is
no,
like I can't say something without everybody going nuts. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just think of
Like I can still love this country and make fun of it. Is what I'm trying to say.
right. I guess what I'm saying is that Lenny Bruce there was this idea that Lenny Bruce was this like iconoclastic power talker, back to power, like taking on the power structures. But Lenny Bruce was a huge JFK fan, right? Like, and JFK was the president, which means speaking truth to power means mocking the powerful. Like, so did he mock the powerful? My point being that was Lenny Bruce was a JFK fanatic, like a big fan of JFK. He was so he wasn't necessarily, and JFK was powerful, and he was the power structure until he got shot or whatever. But Noam Chomsky never was a JFK fan. He said JFK was
but Lenny Bruce made fun of he might have supported JFK, but he also made fun of the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like he found ways to chip away at him.
True.
It wasn't like he was just like, this guy's amazing. Like he found ways to chip.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem, is sometimes, you got to find, you can't just glorify these people. And
Yeah.
I think
All
that's
right.
the
Well,
problem.
there you go.
I don't know.
We're-
Maybe it's too much. I just think you got to be able to make fun of everything.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we should be able to make fun of everything. But I'm amazed at people who say you should be able to make fun of everything, but nobody does anymore, because if you make fun of
You still can. That's why Seinfeld, retracted his statement, because it's like you can. There's just the consequence that comes with it.
No,
and
of
it's
course,
just like
of
when he
course.
made that statement that you can't make fun of anything and everybody's PC and you go to a college, you go to a club or whatever, and it's like, and then he retracted it because he's all the negative heat from it. But I also think he actually thought it through, and it's like, yeah, you can do whatever. It's just you might get a negative, whatever, and you have to deal with that.
I thought I always thought though that humor existed in a realm by which it was understood, just like when you saw somebody like an actor playing a role in, like, where is he playing a racist, where you would say like you never took it personally, you never were offended by it because he was playing this part. And I always thought the fool, the jester, the comic was a person who was allowed to say things regardless of which way he was going, and people go, well, you can say whatever you want, you just go, but you have to take the consequences. Well, but I used to say, yeah, but I can watch somebody who offends me and still think it's funny, and I don't write a letter or freak out, like whereas it doesn't seem to be that way for most people. If you make fun of a particular group or you make fun of this, they go, no, that's wrong. And I go, but I'm a comic. Don't you think I should be able to say that? But they're not. They don't see it within the realm of that. Something has happened that I can't put my finger on.
It's never changed. I mean, the court jester made fun of the king. He got beheaded. I mean, it's always been since the beginning of this.
Okay, well,
it's always
I guess
been
we
that.
made progress then, right?
Yeah, we used to get our heads cut off,
Yeah.
and so now it's like they kind of let us hang out and say what we want, and we might lose a television show.
That's
we
funny.
Might,
All right,
I lose a commercial.
I see. There's something funny. I would like to run with that because I think that's funny for me to say something about the jester. The consequences for stand-up now are pretty low. There was a time when an offensive joke, the worst thing, I could get heckled. The worst thing for, give me a famous jester. Like I think there probably is a famous name of a jester. I think there are a few. You name one, you go, yeah, he was threatened with beheading. Okay. And I think I've got a lot better now. Things have gotten a little, I got some angry tweets put at me. Okay. That guy got beheaded. Okay. I mean, I guess there's something fun. I like the idea. That's a funny.
You might not work Florida these days, but you're not getting beheaded. It's like
I may not be able to work the Boca Raton market.
Yeah,
but
Boca Raton. Your Boca Raton gigs got canceled, but you didn't get beheaded.
Yeah. But I still have my central nervous system. Right? I have not been. I was never. I like the joke. of the beheading being the punchline there. I think there's something there for me to work on.
You're welcome, by the way. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll let you have that.
Thank you. Thank you. You came up with it, but if you don't want it, I'll take it.
And you you were totally like, this is gonna work for me.
I know.
All right there,
I want
buddy.
it.
I'm gonna
I want it, actually. I want it. You know how
I'll
like
let you
your
have it.
late
I'll let you
friend-
have it. I'll let you have it.
Yeah, I like because I said that specifically because I think that would work for me. If you said, yeah, I think it would work for me too, I would go, all right, well then you got first dibs,
All
but
right,
I would like to. I want to put in a bid on it. I want to put
I'm
in
a giver. I'm a giver.
thank
I'm a
you.
giver in stand up. I've
Thank
given
you.
to all you for
yes,
over the years.
Yes, you are. You always have that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. I did so well.
Beheading. Beheading is actually
Beheading.
beheading. I mean, if you're gonna get there's something I don't know what the. I mean, a beheading seems to be pretty.
Court jesters are always funny to me. This is the idea of the court jester. It's
Yeah.
like, because I've always wanted to do a movie about court jesters. Like, I think it's just the early days of stand up. It was basically like just a bunch of court jesters waiting to go on, just like pacing around with their bells,
smoking.
You're like, hey, I got a new bit. I got to try this. I hope this doesn't get me beheaded. You know what I mean? That last guy, you see, like that guy. And,
you hear what happened to him?
It's like a
right?
funny. Yeah, it's just a funny. Like my dream was to do a jester movie with like stand up comedians as playing jesters. You know,
That's
all
funny.
the English guys. I always thought it'd be so funny.
Right.
Just like,
Woody Allen did something where he played a court jester. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did.
What
but
movie?
like a Ricky Gervais is the main jester. That'd be so funny, dude.
Yeah. That would be really funny.
Something like that would be great.
Court jester.
All right. You want to do the
beheading.
wheel? What do you want to do? What's going on? What were we doing? You had some AI stuff you were doing, Adam. Did you do we were going to do like who writes a better bit, or what were we going to do today?
Well, what we could do is we can do the wheel and we can see what the AI comes up with for the same bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's do that. All right. Give me one wheel because we got about 12 minutes. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to bring the wheel up.
Let's hit the wheel. Racking up the wheel, baby.
Big wheels keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on
wheel
burning.
of bits. Oh,
All right. Let's see.
getting nervous. What was that? Was that to even spin?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So rites of passage.
What does that mean?
Can we spin the wheel again?
we can spin it again.
I think that's a little too deep. Like, what is that supposed? Yeah, let me talk about a rites of passage bit.
Getting beheaded.
All right. Here we go. Junk drawers.
Okay.
Oh, junk drawers. Yeah. Junk drawers.
This feels very Carlin already.
Already,
But
yeah.
I was at my mom's and like she's like assisted living place, and she went from like a house to my brother's house to assisted living. So it's like the amount of stuff that she's had over the years, and going from a house to a small place is very funny. Like just and the things she wants to keep is like just crazy, like like just a wall of crystals and china. Like what why do you need that in your life right now? Like that's funny to me, the stuff we hold on to and think we still need as people, like over the years, it's like you see stuff, you're like, it's just you just can't let go of things, I think is the thing. And it's funny because I kept like I'm trying to organize her place, and so I actually did a junk drawer, and then I was just like, all right, this is the junk drawer, Mom. It's like you put, and then it's like what goes in there, like how much. It's like some sort of like screwdriver thing, it's always like a flashlight.
Yeah. So I think it's the idea that your mom's place is a giant junk drawer. And then you go through, she's got a lava lamp.
Well, there's
like
a generation of hoarders. Like, it's like a boomers are hoarders, man. It's like they hold on to like Life magazines and, Mad magazine.
That's
and,
funny.
Like, Playboys and,
Right.
Just ridiculous Hot Wheels and, whatever. Like they just hang on to stuff.
No, but
And
that's
it's like,
but
it's just-
if you there's where the specificity comes in, because you have to, if you go Life magazine is really funny. Nobody freaking barely remembers that. Can't say two magazines, so you got to go Life magazine, a lava lamp, and then you got to give all these dated some 8-track tapes, some a lot of VHS tapes, or one VHS tape of Gone with the Wind or something. Something that an old person would have. But not that movie because it's not funny. But something like I don't know, Casablanca or something. Like that would be funny. Yeah. But a Casablanca, and then some cleaning thing that nobody uses anymore, or a product. Like that would be really funny.
Whammo or something. What is that thing?
Yeah, like something like Whammo. Or a cereal that doesn't even exist anymore.
What was that thing you cut your hair with? Blurby. What was that called? Flowbee.
Yeah.
She's got. I look at my mom's junk drawer. She's got a copy of Life magazine, a Flowbee. She's got an 8-track of Dolly Parton. She's got like that's funny. She's got she's got Ever Ready batteries from like '79.
Yeah.
she's got a calculator that still says boobless on it.
Oh, like
she's got this
and 39-volt batteries.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like which no one needs anymore. An AM radio, or AM radio. That's funny. AM radio and 26 AM radio and 26 9-volt batteries, which have 2 plugs in them, and I don't know if this is ever going to come back. Maybe she's thinking it's going to come back. I don't know. AM radio.
And then she's like, "Don't throw any of this away."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. She's like, "Don't," because I try to throw stuff away. She's like, "Don't throw it away," and I'm like, "Okay." Right. I'm pretty sure you're going to need this stuff,
I wish we could think of stuff that's really that was like faddish, like a kind of umbrella that everyone had that no one.
Well, it's got to fit in a drawer. It's got to fit in a drawer.
That's right. Well, you could, unless you say that her house is a museum, a junk drawer museum. You know what I mean? Like where each room is its own junk drawer. Hey, look, Mom, Ever Ready batteries, 8-track tapes, and a VH1, the box set of something with a box set is always funny if it's something that she would,
Love Boat. She got the VHS box set of Love Boat. She's got.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, like you're in the ballpark of that,
Yeah, these laser discs. Yeah, people can start, or whatever, like just funny. Just all that.
Stuff like that is funny. Laser discs, VHS tapes, 8-track tapes kind of sounds too hip, cool, hipster, the dude.
And just keys to what? I mean, God
funny.
knows with these keys. There's keys to what are these things? Am I going to one day find some treasure my mom put somewhere? Because you don't know what keys open up. So you're like just tons of keys and skeleton keys and just stuff like just weird whistles and rabbit foots and,
wait.
Funny,
what's it called? At the bank where they used to have those metal things you would pull out, a safety deposit box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a key to a safety deposit box where they have the evidence from the JFK assassination or something you're going to find, you know what I mean? Or like an old Keith Richards demo. That's, you always hear those stories, where the actual original master tapes of the White Album or something are found in somebody's drawer, in somebody's garage. There's something really funny about that. I love it. Like the White Album, but it had to be somebody really, and
Prince or something. Yeah, I love it.
I'm just trying to think of something dumb, and I went to my mother's house. I had 47 skeleton keys, an AM radio, 13 9-volt batteries, and a VHS of I don't know, George, a CD of George Thorogood, something really weird like that. George Thorogood and the Destroyers box set, but not bad, but there's something weird like that would be really funny. The wheel.
All right, let's see what AI comes up with.
Yeah,
I think that was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good bit there.
Yeah. You want me to share the screen? You guys want to read it, or you want me to read them?
I'll read
it, share it,
whatever.
I don't care. Well, let Adam read it. It's funny when Adam awkwardly reads it.
All right. So
we've talked enough. We need Adam to come in and Baba Booey this a little.
All right. I'll do about 3 or 4 of these. All right. Let's start with you ever open your junk drawer and immediately feel like you're breaking into your own house? Like, whoa, who lives here? A retired spy? A raccoon that learned organization?
Not terrible.
No. You see that's a simulacrum of comedy. It's like there's almost a joke there with no actual punchline. Raccoon is funny, breaking into your own house is almost something, right? I feel like I'm breaking into my own house. If you made that into, but it's still not funny, right? But it sounds clever. It's in the ballpark.
All right,
Yeah.
keep going.
All right. So the junk drawer is like the Bermuda Triangle of the kitchen. You put things in there, and then boom, they disappear forever. You could drop a roll of Scotch tape in there, and three weeks later, you'll find a coupon for Arby's from 2006 and a single AA battery that's already leaking acid.
Yeah, we're on the same page as AI.
Well, oh no, it actually gets even crazy how similar it
Keep going.
gets.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So, and there's always a collection of mystery keys. What do these open?
Wow. Wow. Damn. Are you kidding me?
That's right. AI
just-
intelligence right here.
We just nailed AI.
That's
Yeah.
pretty great. We're ahead of
Oh,
AI.
here, it gets even
Keep
crazier.
going. Keep going.
Go ahead.
All right. So my favorite is the instruction manual for something you threw out years ago.
That's funny. That's
yes,
good.
the
That's
DVD
good.
player we gave to Goodwill in 2011.
Yep.
Better keep the manual just in case we ever run into it again at a garage sale.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty good. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Right there. The instruction manual.
Instruction
I forgot about
manuals
that.
is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta give
Yeah.
AI
I'm
that
gonna-
one.
Yeah, I'll give AI that one.
All right. I'll do one more. Okay. So
I gotta say though that Dustin, isn't it fascinating that AI came out with instruction manual? Now, there's 80 comics out there who've done that, like the instruction manual thing. Like that's
Yeah, well, there's bits on that. I just, but holding on to it is very funny. It just, but that's what's in my junk drawer is just crazy
Sure.
instruction manuals. And
Yeah.
so the fact that I missed that, I'm just like,
I know,
like,
me
that's-
too.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
instruction manual. But I know I've
Yeah.
seen guys going, my grandfather has an instruction
Yeah.
manual from the Magna
Yeah.
Carta, whatever. It's like,
Yeah, it's the Titanic. It's
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, do you have one more?
I actually got two more.
Okay, go.
There's always a pen in the junk drawer. Doesn't work, never has, but we keep it just in case we need a stylus for a Palm Pilot. For when we go back in time.
wait, what? Okay, that's kind of funny, almost. Wait, no, but that see. What's interesting about AI is it gets the fragments right. It usually doesn't nail the punch, but like the idea that there's a pen that never works and never did is kind of funny. And then, but they don't have the real. What it's for is a hole punch or you know what I mean? Like you.
Yeah, or my pen would be the one that has all the colors on it and only red works or
Right,
something.
yeah.
Like that would be mine.
Yeah,
Where you got
yeah.
one color barely
Yeah.
working.
But AI is getting all the facts right.
Well, that's the scary part. Is AI is pretty good for premises. That's why you got to be careful. This is a little too easy.
But you and I see Adam, Dustin, I would never write the joke about the instruction manual because I'd smell a rat right away. I'd know, no, somebody's done that. So I wouldn't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Unless you made it really personal to your mom, with a whole bunch of other stuff, your grandma, you know what I
but
mean?
the keys thing, like I was impressed that we connected on that, me and AI.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I've got one more.
last one, close it out.
Okay, last one. I think the junk drawer is actually a shrine, a tribute to every time you said, I don't know where this goes, so I'll just put it here. It's a museum of indecision, the Louvre of laziness, the Smithsonian of whatever.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I'm here all
You guys have been
week.
great. You guys have been great.
I
Thank
got a
you.
new closer.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to AI a new act, and I think I'm just going to punch it better.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things where you go, Louvre of laziness. That's kind of almost funny, but I would throw that out, right? Like, because I'd go, that's almost, that's on its way to something, but it's not a punchline. It's just a flesh out for the rest of the piece.
Well,
But-
that's the difference between the human, like aspect of this, where it's just like,
But
because like you said, but you have to think about it. It's very, all the AI comedy stuff that he just did, like you said, it's it's thousands and thousands of years of stand-up comedians and articles and TV shows and ideas that are just crammed into this thing. So
Memory
it
bank.
knows what's funny and it knows things that are clever. It's just, it's still missing a human element. And the human element is like my mom.
Yes.
That's the human element.
That's the human
that
element.
makes it work in a crowd of people.
Yes. If your mom isn't
If I just got up there and
involved-
said, "Huh? What's up with junk drawers?" I mean, I would get like nothing. But if I got up there and said, "My mom says she's a hoarder, man. It's like that generation. They keep everything. It's like the whole thing is like a junk drawer. You know, I'm like, what is this, Mom? A Life magazine? And it just went into it. It'd probably work.
Right. And Life magazine is the thing that got my ear. When you said it, I went, yeah. See, that's your mom. That's your mom, you know, and that's unique to you. They came up with instruction manual. The difference between instruction manual and Life magazine, and now they could come up with Life magazine. Don't get me wrong, because you Popular Mechanics and Boys Life and whatever the you know like.
But if you say instruction manual to something that's very specific, that could be funny. Betamax or something specific, you know, could be funny. Something, actually a brand name of something's probably funnier. Just, you know, a Curtis Mathis television from 89 or 82 or what, like something specific might work.
Or it would be funny if it was an instruction manual to something that you didn't think needed an instruction manual, but back then was ahead of its time. Like, you know, you're thinking, you know, Chinese finger traps or something.
Even a Walkman, even instruction to a Walkman is funny. You know, just something that's very specific. A Walkman, you know,
Walkman,
a Walkman,
or
like
a waffle iron, or you know, a hair dryer, and not that, but you know, we're in the ballpark. That's something. There's something funny there. There's something funny there. I mean, I'm just very impressed. Well, for everything about the show, for me, was just the fact that we predicted what AI was going to say. You know, that was impressive.
Yeah, we're either geniuses or we're just as bad as AI.
We're genius or hack. That's what this show should be called.
That's the show. That's genius or that is funny. Yeah, we should change it.
Well, folks, that's our show. It's time for us to go. Make sure to follow us, give us a like, drop us a comment, and always subscribe. We're chasing comedy on all the socials. We hope you had a gas, had some laughs, and maybe you learned something too. Until next time, we're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.